Alright, let's assume nothing's broken and hope that you guys can still hear me and what is going to be Zombie Grip in a moment. We do have Suppy and Dolan just having finished up their vetoes. Just going to talk with them for a minute or two. Suppy, I think he's really worried about this matchup though. Dolan is not like a big name. He's not a scary name, but Suppy is now aware that he plays mech. And Suppy not so confident. Like immediately pulled up like WCS VODs of like Snoop versus Major, and he's like looking for ways to like open versus these mech players.
Yeah, I guess that's what he was doing.
What's interesting, I don't think I remember, like, when Suppy was back, like, in his prime, right?
Sure.
I don't remember a lot of instances where Suppy was one to struggle with early Hellion attacks, because Hellion Banshee was, like, all the rage back then.
Actually, I mean, it's not like he was specific, you know, like, he was always that guy that lost to Hellions, but I do remember because Hellion Banshee was so popular that there were dozens of games.
I'll say every Zerg player has lost stupidly to Hellions at some point. There's no even...
That was still back when Hellbat pushes were still relatively new and very powerful, not just because they actually at one point were more powerful, but like just they're so new that they didn't know how to respond against them. I mean, really, considering when Suppy stopped playing or stopped being at his peak, I guess like everyone thinks of him like versus Parting, where he went like mass Spine Colored events against like the 2-base Mortal Sentry all in. That was the end of Wings of Liberty, actually. So, started the Swarm run, I don't think it was as popular, and then that's also when he started just dip down, and that's also when Hellbats and Mech started to rise up. So that's probably why he's pretty worried. I don't know, I was never like the biggest Suppy like fan, but I did like watching him. I mean, I thought it was pretty hype. I thought it was a fun guy to watch too. Like, you always get good interviews. Obviously, like a foreign player doing well is always a big deal. But I didn't track his career as closely as some of the Koreans, for instance.
Okay, so guys, we've since restarted StarCraft. We'll host this and hope there's no hiccups. We may restart, like put a pause on the game if you're not hearing sounds right away. So we're really gonna be looking to chat for feedback on this one. Because we did also have to go unplug and replug the external sound card on account of it going robot-y in a certain amount of time. I don't know that this prevents it, by the way, but we're going to find out. What's funny was the main stage is actually using 2 of these, and I asked, hey, how do you guys prevent the robot-y thing? Yeah. And it's like, you know what's funny? A lot of people have asked me that recently. I don't know why. I'm like, because none of ours work. Like,
interesting.
I just assumed mine was old and broken until it happened at DreamHack Austin, where we had opened a brand new one for the setup there, and the same thing happened. But
yeah, maybe it's just too new. Maybe theirs is like 7 years old.
Well, they're saying they can hear menu sounds, so we can assume game sounds are good. We'll check in during the game, but right now we're getting into map number 1 of Suppy versus Dolan. Dolan, again, not exactly a household name, but he is the only player here from Sloth Esports Club. His teammate Game Time has recently earned a lot of respect from us, but maybe Dolan will do that here with this tournament.
Oh, yay.
This is so sick. This is like actually really sick potential mind games here, because he knows how much Suppy has been obsessing over playing versus mech. They were actually talking friendly about it. So during the vetoes, it was brought up too. So in the top left, not staying in the top left, we have Sloth Esports Club, Purple Terran, Dolan.
Very cool. In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, he's Suppy.
I wish Rich was here right now, the guy who helped provide all the PCs for this, because we were talking about mind games and stuff earlier, and he's like, I don't play a lot of StarCraft, but that was always, or StarCraft, but it was always like a really cool part of that to him, and I think this is one of those things that I think is really neat. Like, you successfully convinced your opponent that he's going to be dealing with mech, so Suppy's probably not scouting, Suppy's probably not going to be rushing anything. He's gone for the gas and the pool, but it's still going to be multiple racks.
That's very smart. He might be thinking that it's 2x Reaper, the usual type back at home, so that's why he's getting the earlier pool. Either way, it's going to help him against aggression. I was umming a lot because Dolan, first of all, doesn't really proxy his racks as closely as I would have wanted.
Yeah, for Marines. This isn't Reapers.
This
would be fine with Reapers.
Either one, really. Like, they're not going to be scouting over to that area in general, like 99% of the time. So, like, if you're taking the risk, take the full risk, in my opinion. But then,
also, like right back here, Beyond style.
Yeah, or exactly. But then B, he's also going for the 3 racks. You know, he's not going for the 2x. So I was going to talk about how Suppy's actually dealt with multiple Marines very, very commonly, right? That was huge in Wings Liberty and Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
But the way that people are doing it now are very different. 2 racks into a factory. This is 4 racks.
It's funny, though, because this is exactly the type of strategy I had referenced earlier in the cast. Where I'm like, look, people try and make this work, and we see things like this in tournament play, like proxy gateways, right? You know, like, players like Zest wouldn't do this if it didn't work some percentage of the time. But it has like a 0% success rate on our stream.
The 2 racks, though, I've actually enjoyed. I thought it does successful enough.
It baits. It does, like, over.
Well, we've seen the kill hatcheries. We've seen, like, you know, in the GSL it works, for instance. I mean, but it goes into a factory back at home, so there's, like, defensive property and a macro property. This is really, like, an old-fashioned 2 racks all in, except it's 4 racks because, like, it's the Void. You
know what's interesting, though? I'm not sure, because of the extra racks, this might not be so dependent on bunkers like the other versions are. And I don't like how far away this was, because you weren't going to get there fast enough to build bunkers before creep was ideally spread, right? Like, look at the timing on this hatchery.
If he had sent the SCV immediately, which he probably should have, he's building a bunker before the queen got down here, or the hatchery finished.
I think Suppy's going to lose this hatchery. Like, he might be better off giving it up. There's no Zerglings out. The only 2 he has are across the map. Zomgrip's kicking me. Yeah, she's mean. Totally on purpose, I'm sure. But the queen goes down almost immediately. Suppy's totally caught off guard by this.
Yeah. I mean, this could still just work. The surprise element is huge, but the thing is that even with a solid marine wall, if they're surrounded, there's lings. There's a lot of drones to lose before you can actually have to tap out.
Yeah.
So he's got to get into a good position.
Speed's not going to quite time out with these lings, though. So, I mean, he's on creep. And he wants to protect that spine crawler, but if he's forced to go too soon, he'll lose too many of the lings. So he just cancels the spine. Speed finishes, now he goes in.
It's going to be really nice for Dolan.
Oh, he gets to the mineral line, too. Yeah, this is that sweet spot. No easy way around this. SCV also soaks some hits on the other side. Drones, all that are really left. Queen trying to help, but she doesn't have much damage, not alone. She needs some sort of assistance. And Suppy's so busy fighting, he's not mining.
Yeah, this is actually getting to the point of no return. Of course, Marine is still rallying into that natural. You can make a lot off the Legacy of the Void initial economy, but he didn't quite get that snowball amount of links, and instead, the Marines have snowballed.
And, yeah, that's going to be game.
Smart
GG.
play. GG indeed.
I want to say, though, like, my favorite part about that isn't the Marines. I don't care that he did Marines versus Reapers versus a tank. Just the fact that he messed with Suppy, that he knew there was so much emphasis here on this mech problem. He knew that Suppy was watching that previous game where he was playing mech. Like, this was brilliant play out of Dolan. And then for me, the best part would be if he plays the next game as mech.
It's also, for me, like, it's very fun because there are certain parts that Suppy has straight up missed in terms of like, you know, popular builds and cheeses, and one of those parts is the beginning of Legacy of the Void. Like, Suppy might have played a couple of games, like, it sounds a little familiar, but really not a lot. Not much at all. So we kind of missed that point of experimentation that was the 4 racks, and then it died off completely, like the 4-gate or 5-gate, whatever the test used recently. It doesn't work either. So he's probably not thinking about that. He's probably trying to get up to date with 2017 Legacy of the Void, where people are either 3 racks Reapering or 2 racks in the factory, in which case he probably would have been fine. So that was just a huge, huge curveball.
Well, game number 2, heading into Odyssey. I'm really excited to see what Dolan does for this, but at the same time, part of me almost hopes Suppy busts something out. Like he's good friends with Scarlet. Maybe he's like proxy hatchery.
Yeah, they actually were really good friends when they were also like traveling a lot, like both of them. I imagine they're still good friends. I didn't mean to say that they weren't, but like I don't think Suppy ever really.
You heard it here first, guys. Zombie Group is doing Suppy and Scarlet hate one another.
But I don't think Suppy ever took on the qualities that Scarlet had. Like they would learn from each other, and they would certainly have some stylistic, you know, preferences that were similar. But in terms of like the cheesiness, weirdness, Suppy was never really that guy in my head.
No, I disagree, because I remember one of his WCS and Zotac wins. He beat Hyun doing Spinecrawler Rush.
Sure, you could Spinecrawler Rush. That was pretty popular back when he was doing really well, but he was more well known, I think, for his defensive properties with mass Spinecrawlers.
Absolutely. I'm just saying, like, he has been, like, I've seen the worst out of that guy. But anyways, it's game number 2 here for DreamHack Atlanta. In the top left, he is up 1-0 at the moment. It's the Purple Terran, Dolan.
In the bottom right, as the Red Zerg, it's Suppy.
So one thing to note about Suppy from last game to this game is at least he does do, like, gas pull. Like, he's getting that fast speed out. I think
he did it last game.
You're right. And I think what he's most worried about isn't even cheese. It's not proxy racks. It's not proxy whatever. It's just dealing with Reapers in general. Because, like, there's no reason otherwise I think he would do this both back-to-back so blindly, especially off the back end of that last game. That's got to hurt. You would expect him to do this here for sure.
There are some good qualities about getting the hatchery down as soon as possible, too. But yeah, the faster speed is usually a much more... it also not just gives you defensive properties, but also lets you send the lanes across the map.
It's also really interesting he chose not to drone scout either. I think... It's not like he would have been forced to, but I think after you get hit with a 4 racks, you're kind of like...
No, the only thing you have to do really is if you're worried about another proxy rocks is just send a drone to the natural, patrol for a little while, and then go back home if you're actually worried.
Yeah, Nurchio was actually really good at doing that for a long time.
Yeah, you shouldn't ever have the drone scout, and if you do, I mean, maybe it isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it shouldn't happen.
No. No, he's not going to build anything, but he misses
Yeah,
it.
he really wants... I mean, this could have been a huge scout for Dolan if Suppy was a more aggressive player. If he was using this to not just make 2 lings, but then like 6 lings more and successfully get the cancel in the command center, the SCV could potentially see the lings go down the ramp and count them, and see how much is going on. But it did see the lack of a hatchery for a little while.
Deja vu right now. Dolan really good at catching this particular Overlord.
Yeah, Suppy didn't actually watch the games that this happened in. But anyways, the SCV could have seen... the lings, it did see the lack of the hatchery, and now it's seeing, there's still drones in the gas, which I think is a little bit worrying. But he hasn't seen like a Bailey Nest or anything.
No Bailey Nest over Birdcorn. I mean, the SCV regardless has got a good scout. And this is really important for Dolan. He still loses this, by the way, which surprises me. But I was gonna say he doesn't build a Reaper. He plays with the Marines. He goes for the Overlord pickoff, so he needs that SCV to scout. If that was denied earlier, he would actually be playing very blind and probably a bit scared. Yeah,
I do like that SCV scout right there. It even gets on alive, which is kind of impressive. Suppy is making a handful of lings, but up against a factory opener, which he knows it is. That shouldn't be very much. Just a little bit of protection maybe for that third base. Fast Overlord speed, I do like this option. He was talking specifically to Dolan about the follow-ups to the games that they were playing. Like he was talking about, I was going to fall into a Banshee build. I heard those exact words. So I'm sure Suppy's very worried about an armory, first of all, but then also potential double fact or starport with Banshees.
Double fact? Oh no. What? That water is wet, but can also be a solid?
I mean, I guess it's 2 facts. You're right.
Proxy facts, you just put sticky notes, tape it on somebody. Reaper's hurt and so do Marines. There you go.
Oh, so clever. Suppy's lings just darted in to see what was up, if they could get any intel just from running in.
And this, by the way, is very reminiscent of the game we saw earlier. Armory starts up similar to... Actually, I think that was a little bit later, but it's a similar timing is what we're aiming at here.
Yeah, this is not that well timed. This is a little bit late. I thought that maybe he was going to trick him. Actually just lose Hellions and Marines and go for a faster third or something like that. But no, he's still trying to do a Hellbat build. It's just going to be late.
Shows Hellions, fakes an armory, builds 4 CCs behind it.
I'm just saying, don't go for the armory.
But no, even with these not being Hellbats, the same principles here. They can soak the hits so the Marines don't have to, and the Marines then get to actually wail away on the Queens.
This is so awkward, though. You don't want to go on creep with Hellions, even if they're protected by Marines. He really wanted them to be Hellbats.
It's 8 seconds out still.
Yeah, this is where the Queens are just, so powerful, even against those Marines. They'll definitely just start picking these away, and this is going to be so much time for Suppy to make lings. This was definitely a mistake. One, that should mean that Suppy gets a nice little gain here, but he doesn't actually have that many Queens. He's still relying on lings, and this could still burn a lot of his, a lot of his army, which, as a Zerg player, is also a lot of your economy.
Well, the interesting thing to note behind this is it's actually not a really quick blue flame or anything, but he's gone for fast weapon upgrades, and I'm wondering if this means we'll see Thors as the next priority, because that was the style he was playing in that ladder game we saw.
Yeah, I think that does. Almost always adds that +1 pretty quick. It is a Hellbat build, so the splits are going to be good. Suppy's, by the way, we saw Bailey Nest with the last guy that Dolan faced, and I said that a little bit over defensive, because you usually don't want to build a Bailey Nest. But back when Suppy was playing, this was the way to play against Hellbat pushes. Yeah. You always went for a Bailey Nest with that good timing. Nowadays, not really. You just go for Queens, a lot of Queens.
Well, luckily for him, Queens are also going to be good against what's following up, and that's 4 Cyclones at a time. So the weapon upgrade here is still going to be very beneficial to these fast attacking units. But as long as Suppy's not relying on roaches, and he's got mostly Lings and Queens, for example, these Cyclones are actually not going to be very scary at all.
Yeah, Dolan's going to add more Hellions at some point, but this is something else that Suppy might not really be comfortable against or even have knowledge of.
Cyclones?
Yeah, mass Cyclones. There's the huge gap where mass Cyclones is experimented with, and then you occasionally see it nowadays, one every, 20 games of a mech player, which is also a rarity, right? So it's really not that common. But back in the day, there was a lot of experimentation with it back in Legacy of the Void. First released. It's something that Suppy I don't think really has experience with. There's a lot of finesse with dealing with Hellbat Cyclone too. There's a lot of pull and tug and roaches and lings going in at different times.
Sounds like a great Friday night.
Hey. But there's not really a lot of Cyclones here. The Hellbats might be taken care of by the Banelings and the Queens. He's still rallying him in, though, and that's getting scarier and scarier.
That hatchery. I mean, I don't think transfusions were worth it.
No, they weren't. He probably realized that, too. It's funny, though, because, like, I think having played against people who haven't played Legacy of the Void, the Cyclone damage on buildings, like, just straight up surprises people.
Yeah, it's a bit astonishing, I suppose, but I hope he doesn't misunderstand how that'll affect the rest of his army. Like, the Hellbats are still scary, but even the low-health Banelings can still actually soak hits from Cyclones.
He might not have enough units. The spread's going to be decent. I mean, that's actually pretty good.
I think he's going to actually take on most of the Hellbats. That's going to let Lings and Queens deal the Cyclones. He's going to hold.
He is going to hold. Hellions aren't really being rallied in here that quickly.
There is this element of, like, at what cost, though, right? Like, the hatchery did die. He's not left with a lot of money. As he transitions into mutas, this might be the best thing going for him. Because Dolan, he doesn't actually have Thors, and frankly, the one Viking he had, he landed.
There's some pretty fancy micro going on here. Finally, Suppy counter micros, targets down the weak Cyclones. Dolan, just not a lot of Hellion reinforcements. I think at one point he was only producing off of the one factory, too. Maybe Dolan was building a tech lab or something, or just maybe it wasn't enough money quite yet. He did add on 3 factories after all to really up his production.
It was probably a combination of money and supply. When you're playing this style of mech, you actually run out of supply very quickly.
Yeah, so the Spire choice, you know, it's going to give Suppy a lot of time, potentially, to recover, make that third base, get the drone count up higher. But eventually Dolan, okay, well, he stands, but also Dolan will get that anti-air. And I still think he has a stronger position in this game, even if he's going to be contained a little while for the mutas.
Well, the timing on the mutas is going to be great. Thors are not out, turrets are not down, so this is going to be a lot of damage stuff he gets in here. He's got about, like 30-second window of opportunity to just kind of run with it. Cyclones don't actually deal that much damage, so he could leave these in here for a bit. He's going to try and dive, which is a mistake. I don't think he's... I definitely don't think Suppy's used to fighting Cyclones. Like, he could have just walked away the weak mutas and left the rest there.
Yeah, I mean, there really weren't that many, and there were quite a few Cyclones. Their anti-air sucks, but in high enough numbers, they'll do okay against this mutas.
Lock on, it does do a lot of damage over a long period of time.
Yeah.
But there's that Thor shot. Oh, those Thors timed out perfectly. Suppy not ready for it. Gonna lose most of his mutas.
Yeah.
Yikes. Wouldn't mind even popping off there at the end.
There's been some nice, you know, emergency control coming out from Dolan, I gotta say, like defensively and on the attack. So now let's get into more of that brute force mech army with Thors, siege tanks, dealing with his upgrades as well. Suppy still has to get to his, you know, more reliable army than mutas are, which are the roaches in this case. They don't have any upgrades. They won't have some for a while. In fact, they might be like finishing 1-1, for instance, if he had double evolution chamber, which he doesn't. But they might have finished that by the time Dolan was ready to push.
Well,
so this is...
I want to go back to the mutas for a moment, because we have been talking a lot about Suppy back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, back in the day, mass mutas was what you did. We saw like we saw players like Hendrils actually beat Innovation going mass mutas. Granted, not like really extensive series, but like in a game or two.
That's where I thought the style of him and Scarlet actually got really close. Was when they got into the mid-game Ling Bang Ling Muta.
Well, there's that one WCS match where he beat Scarlet, right, with the mutas.
Oh yeah, Muta is Muta. It's the way to go in TvZ.
See, the Roaches are actually maybe not a horrible choice here. What's interesting is there's not that many tanks. And if Blue Flame Hellions and mostly Thors, like the Roaches are not going to have a good time here, but this isn't going to be that bad of a composition for Suppy. No. Especially, I think, if he adds in a couple Ravagers on top of that mix.
Looks like he's going to be adding a Hive, potentially, with his Fast Infestation Pit. Now, Dolan did take economic damage. It took him a long time to clean up those mutas, so job well done. And he may be pushing a little prematurely. Like, this is not, even a 150 mech army where it really starts to protect each other.
It's like 100.
Like, this is hoping to find someone that really is being overly greedy to make up for an early game loss. But Suppy's not being that greedy, I don't think. Like, he isn't going up to 70, 80 drones.
There's really the one tank and the 3 Thors. The rest of this is cannon fodder.
It might work, though. Like, this actually might be good enough.
There's a lot of transfuses. I think if those queens are soaking the hits and transfusing each other while just slightly micro around them, I think it'll be fine. It's tough to say, though, because Suppy, I mean, he's down in upgrades. This is still a mech army at the end of the day, and it's not something he may be comfortable even fighting. But I think right now, before like tanks are coming in 3 at a time, it's probably his best bet to take a fight.
Yeah, the longer he waits, the worse it's going to get with tanks coming through here. Even if, more Hellbats add in, that's still very important fodder there.
I do like what the mutas are doing. Not many of them, but they are kind of trying to cut off reinforcements.
Yeah, he doesn't really want to bring back a Thor to help deal with that, but he's starting to chunk away at the Roaches. Suppy doesn't want to take the fight, so lets a lot of damage down. on each side.
I don't know if somebody knows magic numbers, but of course 3 corrosive vials will kill a tank. So even if you had to suicide the Ravagers early, it would have been great because there was only 1 tank. Now there's 2 that complement each other. There's Widowmine on top of them. Overseer comes in. Somebody's going to go for the break. Venus coming from the backside. Gets absolutely smushed by the anti-air, but Dolan's army taking some heavy losses too. Suppy with the A-move, push it in, Thors go down. This is not an easy army for Dolan to replace. It's so expensive, and Dolan's only really on 2 bases right now.
Yeah, that was such a questionable push, you know? Like, credit the guy for being a mech player. He can probably read scenarios better than I can, but that just looked like...
Oh, Suppy.
You move into that, they have this concave, they have all these transfuses. It's just going to be a smarter play to pull back.
Okay, I gotta ask you, what do you think? Does Suppy go full Korean or full foreigner with these swarm hosts?
I don't know what that means.
Korean, just unload them all and use them a little bit haphazardly, and the foreigners like actually use them methodically and correctly.
Well, you always have such a harsh distinction, but I haven't been very impressed with either parties in multiple different ways.
I think when I say foreigner too, I should probably more specify like European. Like even some of the NAs have been kind of a little bit wonky with their swarm
thinking
hosts.
like when Nurchio like made them, and then I just watched them like walk them into tanks and like still have all the same mistakes, and I was like, well, maybe it's just an off day, but like. The only person I've seen them really be steadily used correctly was maybe like Sute in one game. Like they're pretty easy to mess up.
Yeah.
Or they apparently I don't use them myself.
He launched them all, by the way, so he went full Korean.
Okay. He does have some roaches though. He saw that was the entire army. I think Dolan's pushing until like he's not taking advantage of the full might of a mech army, which is usually post 150 supply. He did just run away from a bunch of locusts though, and that was a lot of Suppy's supply, but that's. You know, he's doubling it, so I don't think that matters.
I think what's unfortunate is Suppy's just kind of rally attacking on the other side of the map, but he's trying to micro him back at home. And that's costing him a lot. Like, the SCVs ran away for free. The Roaches didn't kill much. The Locusts get cleaned up very quickly by the Blue Flame. He's got that other round coming off cooldown here in just a second, though, so he will have some more Locusts good to go soon. There we go. Now on the backs, of course, the bulges of ferociousness.
I can't believe that Suppy is maxed out, by the way. It's not over the max army.
No, it's Roaches, right?
It's swarm hosts, and some of the roaches were on the other side of the map. This is going to be able to clean it up, though. I'd say, like, this isn't just it's not the critical mass of mech that is really scary. I think Dolan, just on the first 3 base attack.
He's too choked out at this point. Like, anything he makes won't be made fast enough to keep up with the locust swarms, much less the follow-up reinforcements out of Suppy.
That's too bad, because I really thought he had a lot of momentum with killing the 3rd base. Had he played a little bit...
I liked his early attack. I liked it a lot.
I think he just should have played more turtley. You know, I think he probably thought he had a better position than he did, and if he just immediately followed up, he'd be able to, 1-2 punch, but it didn't really end up that well.
Well, this is, I think, our first 3rd game of the day.
Yeah.
And I don't even necessarily mean for us. I think of the whole tournament. It's been 2-0s all over the place. Like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. Up, down, left, right through the mid and losers bracket, too. So now we go underwater for this 3rd and final map in the series.
Abyssal Reef.
Abyssal Reef.
Yeah, alrighty then. It is so cold in this venue.
You know what? I was just realizing, too, like, it got cold, though. But it was warm for a while.
Nah. The only reason I wore what I wore today was because yesterday I was freezing. And I was like, yeah, tomorrow I'm definitely going to wear pants, like jeans and double layers. And I even thought of bringing my hoodie.
If you need someone to warm you up, just stretch my arm, don't mind me.
Jeez.
Alright, let's wait for Suppy to join in. He's taking a moment here. Alright. Ready, boys? I know I saw True walking around here. He came back. Like, we gotta get him practicing soon.
Go, 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 go.
Well, we took our last break, of course, was reaching out to players. Yeah, we're going. Saying, hey, everybody, start heading to the venue. We're not quite at the round of 8 yet, but, maybe in the next hour or 2 we will, so be here ready to play. Sad cringe.
In before sent to sad cringe.
One sec. What's up? Do I want what?
Nah. It's alright.
Alright, guys, we're getting into game number 3. Things are tied up now, 1-1. Ooh. But not spotting entirely here in the bottom right. Okay. Or rather, not staying here. It's the purple Terran, Dolan.
In the top left, as the red Zerg, he's Suppy. Pretty sure he's not on EG anymore.
No, actually, we talked about that. I think it's just a clan tag reminiscent of his account.
By pretty sure, I mean absolutely not. Even Xenocider has finally been taken off the page. And that took like a year.
This was like a retrowave 80s style songs. Like a lot of them were about like leaving this town, or it's like too small for them and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I feel like these SCVs are. Like, we gotta get out of here, man. We gotta make something for ourselves.
Probably. Just a couple old town boys.
This worked really well in game 1, and I think a big part of that was like Suppy getting caught off guard. Relying on that element of surprise could be dangerous for Dolan, but it also might just brute force a quick win and send him on forward in the bracket.
It could. The tricky thing about the 4-racks is that it very easily snowballs either direction. I mean, a better surround with the same number of lings and a queen, suddenly that means that the Marines are cleaned up no problem, and rallying one Marine forward, even 4 at a time, doesn't really end up going that way, is something that just can't be working. Sometimes. We'll see. I mean, Suppy is once again going for the pool and gas and then hatch, but that did not protect him in the first game.
Sorry guys, I was just confirming with our admin there. Again, we're advancing the bracket as quickly as we can, because we do want to get to that round of 8. Those best of 3s there are the most important matches of the day, because those determine who goes on to the main stage tomorrow. And the winner of this series, I had to double check, the winner of this series plays Sir Robin for one of those spots.
Yeah, Sir Robin a pretty good player. This is identical to what he did last time, and Suppy is so far doing what he did in the first game. Identical. The biggest difference he could make is making lings.
Yeah, he was caught droning. That was the harshest part about
more
that.
than 2 of them, because he hit him across the map and they had to bring him back in the first game, and then obviously didn't help very much at that point. So
these guys are...
one thing with 2 lings, you're going to see the lack of a command center as the Marines come forward. He's not making anymore.
He tried to be sneaky, and that's going to cost him. Timing could have been all the difference in the world here.
It just makes 6 lings next time, and he just does much more damage, even against an actual command center.
Press F to pay your respects to chat for Suppy, guys.
It's still not quite over, but it is feeling very reminiscent of that first game.
So, before we all get too sad, happy for Dolan. Good to see him winning. Secondly, though, there is a loser's bracket still.
You should probably go for this round while you can. It sucks, though. It's no link.
He's coming out now, but I think it's still a little bit too late.
He could survive if the Lynx can take care of the Marines, but the Marines aren't good enough. Maybe.
Even if he survives, he just pulled a lot of drones.
No, it's okay. There's no orbital. And
he skipped an orbital for this. You're right.
Yeah, it's so all in that if you stop the snowball from happening, then the Zerg player wins, as long as they don't lose more than... If they don't dip below 8 drones, I want to say, because then they can still make enough links.
Okay, regardless of who's going to win this, it's still that reminder. Losers bracket. This is the winner's side still. And, well, Suppy may have turned this around.
I think Suppy wins, actually, no problem.
Well, again, regardless, the losers bracket still exists, and that's all I'm trying to remind people about. So, there's a lot more games to be had for both of these guys, for sure.
Yeah, the one thing Suppy could do to throw the game, though, would be taking on Marines a little too many at a time, but it seems to be judging correctly. Taking the reinforcements while just buying a lot of time to continue building more as he sees how all in it is.
Getting back to the barracks to fight is at least nice for Dolan. He's got a little bit of a choke to work with here, but it's still tough to even just get rid of these initial links. Suppy's going to have this next round out soon.
Yeah, it's game. Oh, Dolan almost got that other snowball. 2 games
this was a great...
almost.
This was a really good risk, though, because like this was something where this really could have worked. We saw how one-sided this was in that first game.
Yeah. But then, I mentioned how quickly he can snowball the other direction. If he takes the exact same fight with the exact same amount of lings and only 1 queen, which is exactly what happened here, but he gets a surround, that is the difference. And he, wisely took the surround with the drones, even though he knew it would cost him about 9. GG.
Well, we may have had a 3rd game, but it still wasn't a very long game.
And we didn't really get to see mech. The second game was okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't really last that
Well, so that's my thoughts. Actually, I'm thinking because he lost the second game where he did go mech, it had a lot of influence as to why he didn't go mech for game 3. Suppy handled that rather well for all things considered. The mutas got blown up, they got killed by the Thors, and the Roaches, I think, got him off guard. There's a lot of reasons I can see why he wouldn't play mech against Suppy again.
I guess.
Well, that's going to send us to a break. So it looks like it'll be Suppy versus Sir Robin in another ZVZ. Looks like Jeheffy and Honeybear have already played as well. Oh, one sec. Oh, we got an admin.
Does he have to play anymore?
This is the round of 8, so he's going to be moving to the round of 8.
Yeah, okay, so does he have to play?
He does. Renovate plays today.
No, I mean like right now.
You know what? Let me put us on break and then maybe we'll talk about it. All right, guys. So we have to finish some stuff up here, and I got to fix some stuff with our admin. So we'll be back in a few minutes. When we get back, it should be Suppy versus Sir Robin. He's still just down the way, so it'll be easy to follow him. I think Sir Robin is what, like across the venue, somewhere like way down there.
I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Someplace.
So we'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks again for watching DreamHack Atlanta. Don't go anywhere. It's just a few minutes. Once we're back and the players are good to go, we'll be back. So we'll see you guys soon.